Catwoman. Catwoman drove the motorbike very fast through the streets, with the wind against her face. She was having lots of fun, moving in and out of the traffic. She stopped in front of the jewelry shop and got off the motorbike. Then she heard a crash of glass. Oh no! Someone's robbing the shop, she thought. They can't do that. That was my idea. She ran into the shop and saw two robbers. A fat robber was breaking some glass with his gun to reach some necklaces. A tall robber was trying to open a metal box. Catwoman blew in the tall man's ear. When he turned around, she had disappeared. There was a third robber upstairs. He was a short man, and he was putting diamonds into a black bag. Catwoman quickly put a black mask over her eyes and went up behind him. "You're not very good," she said. "Look behind you." The short robber turned around quickly, but she had disappeared. The fat robber had just opened a glass box. Inside was the necklace with diamond claws. He heard a noise and looked up. When he looked at the box again, the necklace had gone. Then he saw Catwoman. She was standing next to the tall robber, and she was wearing the necklace. "What are you doing?" he asked, taking his gun out of his pocket. "I'm having lots of fun," she said. "But you're stealing beautiful things. You're taking things that don't belong to you. You're bad people." All three men pointed their guns at her and began to shoot. But Catwoman was too quick for them. She jumped away from the bullets and kicked the tall robber in the head. Then she kicked the fat robber's legs, and he fell to the ground with a loud thump. The short robber jumped at her from behind, but she suddenly sat on the floor. The short robber flew over her head and crashed into a big glass box. Catwoman looked at the three robbers on the floor. "Well, that wasn't very difficult," she said. She quickly collected all the jewelry on the floor and ran. Patience woke up and looked around the room. There was jewelry everywhere. Where did all this jewelry come from? She thought. She looked down and saw that she was still wearing her black leather clothes. And then she remembered. "Oh no! I can't believe that I did this! It's wrong, wrong, wrong!" She found a paper bag and put all the jewelry inside, except the necklace with the diamond claws. "I can't take that back," she thought. "It's so beautiful." Tom Lone was head detective on the jewelry shop case. He was talking to the jeweler now. The jeweler showed him a photo of the necklace with the diamond claws. "It's a very special necklace," he said. "It's from Egypt, and it's the only one like it." "So, what do you think about those three guys that we found here last night, Tom?" asked one of the other policemen. "Do you believe their story?" "What are we going to call her?" called another. "Cat girl? Robber cat?" "Come and look at this, Tom!" shouted a third policeman just outside the shop door. He was pointing at a white box with a paper bag on top of it. Lone opened the bag. Inside was the jewelry, and on the box was the word, "Sorry." Lone carefully opened the box. "Is it something important?" asked the policeman. "Yes," said Lone. "Chocolate cakes." Patience was standing at the front door of Ophelia Powers's house. "Please help me," she said. "I don't understand what's happening to me." "Come in," said Ophelia. She took Patience into the library and showed her a large book. The book was called Bast, and it was written by Ophelia Powers. "You're a writer?" asked Patience. "Yes," said Ophelia. I was a university teacher for 20 years. She opened the book and pointed to an Egyptian work of art. A beautiful golden cat made of stone. This is the goddess Bast, she said. Midnight jumped onto the table and stood on the picture in the book. Midnight looks very like the cat in the picture, said Patience. Yes. Maocats are very special in the Egyptian religion. They carry messages for Bast, said Ophelia. Bast is the goddess of the moon and the sun. She joins the two sides of all women, good and bad, hard and soft. But what about me? Asked Patience. I don't understand how... Ophelia stopped her. What happened the other night? I can't remember, Patience replied. She moved towards the window. I'll tell you then, said Ophelia. You died. What? Cried Patience. I didn't die. I'm here, aren't I? You're mad. You're completely mad. She jumped onto the windowsill, ready to attack. You died, Ophelia said again. But you were reborn. You were reborn by Bast's message carrier, the Mao. Midnight saved you. Patience began to remember. The terrible noise, the mountain of water crashing over her, falling down, down, down into the river. And then a cat with golden eyes, Midnight, giving her life. She got down from the windowsill. You're not alone, Ophelia said. Maocats have saved lots of others too. She showed Patience pictures of catwomen from many different countries. Some of the pictures were only a few years old. Others were from many centuries ago. Then she gave her a cat mask. So, what should I do? Asked Patience. If I'm not Patience now, But you are Patience, Ophelia explained. You're a catwoman. You can see and hear and move much better than you did before. You can do all the things that a cat can do. And, at the same time, you're still Patience. You're both. Accept who you are, and you can be free. Patience took all the claws off the necklace and put them on the fingers of her leather gloves. Then she used the claws to cut her leather jacket, her trousers, and her boots. As she worked, she began to remember more and more. She remembered running through the factory. She remembered Wesley and Armando chasing her with their guns. She put on her new cat mask and the clothes that she had designed. Then she looked down at her work table and saw a picture of George Adair. She remembered that she had nearly died. It was time to get some answers. Chapter 6. Ahead for Heights. Catwoman ran and jumped across the rooftops to the Adair factory. She was wearing her leather trousers and her long black gloves with the diamond claws. She wore 2 black belts across her stomach and the cat mask over her face and hair. She saw Armando outside the factory. He was getting into a car. When the car drove away, Catwoman followed, jumping from rooftop to rooftop. The car stopped at a nightclub. Catwoman followed Armando inside. The barman looked at Catwoman in surprise. "What can I do for you?" he asked. "I'd like a vodka and milk, without the vodka. No ice." As she drank the glass of milk, she saw Armando going to the dance floor. She finished her milk and followed him. 2 dancers in black leather were dancing with a whip. Catwoman took the whip from them. "Excuse me," she said, as she began to dance, circling the whip around her. She moved towards Armando and cracked the whip close to his nose. Then she put it around his neck and pulled him to the back door. Armando flew through the door and fell on his back in the street outside. Catwoman jumped onto his stomach. Armando tried to get his gun, but Catwoman got it first and threw it away. "You don't know me, do you?" she said. "Well, I know you. You killed somebody a few nights ago. She was a good person. She was a friend of mine. Why did you do it?" Armando didn't answer. He was frightened. Catwoman brought her diamond claws close to his face and moved them dangerously. "I'm going to ask you one more time. Why did you kill that nice girl?"
"They told me to do it," cried Armando. "They told me to open the pipes. She heard too much."
"What did she hear?" asked Patience.
"I don't know," Armando said. "Something about Beoline, perhaps. There's something wrong with Beoline."
"Of course. Now I understand," said Patience. "And Hedare isn't telling people?"
"That's right,"
said Armando. Catwoman got into the Hedare factory through a window in the roof. She went quickly to the room where she had heard the conversation about Beoline. When she opened the door, she saw computers on the floor, and papers, broken glass, and plastic everywhere. And a body. Dr. Slavicki was lying on the floor. Patience could see that he was dead. Someone had shot him. She heard the sound of police cars and looked behind her. An old man, a cleaner, was standing there.
"Please don't kill me too,"
he said. Patience ran past him through the door and escaped. Sally was watching the news when Patience arrived at the hospital with a bag full of her things. "Wow, Patience, you look amazing," she said. "I love your hair, and those clothes are fantastic. This guy is really good for you." "Thanks," said Patience, smiling. "Are you going to be okay?" "They don't know what the problem is, so I'm going home." "Have you heard the news? A mad woman murdered Slavicki last night. She was dressed as a cat. Look." Patience looked at the television and saw a police picture of Catwoman. She looked horrible. "I hope I don't really look like that," she thought. Then George Hedare was speaking.
"We are all very sad about Dr. Slavicki's death, but don't worry. Beoline will be in the shops next week. We're going to give women what they want. One mad person isn't going to stop us."
Patience was so angry that she had to sit down. Sally opened a small pot of Beoline. "Oh no, it's nearly empty," she said. "When did those headaches start?" asked Patience. "A few months ago." "Then please do something for me. Stop using Beoline. You're lovely as you are." Tom Lone had kept the coffee cup that Patience had given him. It was on his desk. He looked at it now. Then, in surprise, he looked at the box that had had the chocolate cakes in. He picked them both up and looked at them again more carefully. Then he took them to a detective who knew about handwriting.
"Did the same person write 'sorry' on the cup and the box?" asked Lone.
"Well, some things are almost the same," said the detective, "but there are lots of differences too." He pointed to the coffee cup. "This person is not very confident." He pointed to the box. "But this person is extremely confident. And she's angry. She may even be dangerous. They're different people." "I'm very happy about that,"
said Tom. "It's going to be a great weekend."
Tom and Patience climbed onto the big Ferris wheel at the fun fair. The Ferris wheel went round, and they went up and up until they could see half the city. Then the Ferris wheel made a loud noise and stopped.
"I think we have a problem," said Lone. "We could be up here for a long time."
Patience moved closer to him in the seat. "I don't think that's a problem," she said. Suddenly, the Ferris wheel jumped, and the seats moved dangerously. People began to scream. Lone looked down. Black smoke was coming from the machine that turned the Ferris wheel. The machine was breaking. If it broke completely, the Ferris wheel would turn too fast and everyone would fall out.
"I'll be back in a minute,"
he shouted to Patience. He climbed out of their seat and down the wheel towards the machine. Patience heard someone crying. It was a small boy. He was in a seat on his own. As she watched, the Ferris wheel jumped again, and the boy almost fell out. He held the seat tightly with his hands, but his legs hung in the air. "Don't worry," Patience shouted. "I'm coming to get you." Like a cat, she jumped quickly towards the center of the Ferris wheel, and then out again towards the little boy's seat. At the same time, Lone reached the machine. It was going to break very soon. Quickly, he looked for something to stop it. Patience jumped 5 meters up to the boy's seat. She held the seat with one hand and the boy with the other. "It's okay, I've got you," she said. Lone found a long piece of metal. He took it and pushed it into the machine. The Ferris wheel made another terrible noise, then stopped moving. Suddenly, the seat moved, and Patience and the boy began to fall. Patience managed to hold another seat, and she caught the boy with her legs. The boy held her tightly as Patience looked for a way to the ground.
"You're okay, Patience. I'm going to bring you down slowly."
Patience looked down and saw Lone. He was turning the machine by hand. When they reached the ground, Lone took the boy from Patience and gave him to his mother. Then he turned to Patience.
"I don't know how you did that," he said. "Well done."
"You did a good job too," Patience replied, and she took him in her arms.